Welcome to Dramatic Pause, a Rose Theater podcast. On today's episode, we'll be talking with artistic director Matt Gutschick about the upcoming 2021-2022 season. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dramatic Pause, a Rose Theater podcast. Today, I am super fortunate to be joined by Matt Gutschick, our artistic director. He is going to give us the lowdown on the new season coming to the Rose. So welcome, Matt. If you want to introduce yourself and just kind of how much time you've spent at the Rose and maybe what it means to be an artistic director.
Sure. Hi. So I am in my 8th season as the artistic director at the Rose. And what that means is that I get to work with all of our production team members and our education staff to work to create some of the content that goes on our stages and in our classrooms. And then I have the good fortune of working with Julie Walker, our managing director, to collaborate with all the other departments at the Rose to make sure that, you know, all the programming is well supported and that we're doing the necessary work of reaching out to our community and that kind of thing.
And that's awesome. And so you've had a big hand in helping get this season ready coming up for our 21-22 season. And I think everyone on staff who's kind of heard a bit about the season is super excited about one show or another. And the season kicks off this year in a little bit of a different way than usual because we're going to have a big premium event first, Descendants. And so do you want to tell us just a little bit about that show and kind of what to expect?
Sure. So Descendants is definitely going to be a big musical. It's got a large cast. And so this is a project that we delayed because of COVID. And we are looking forward to conditions improving such that in the fall, we can do it in a way that you might normally expect to see a big musical, where maybe some social distancing principles don't have to be in place. And, you know, hopefully by that point, audience and performers are at a place where artful masking of faces isn't necessary or helpful anymore. So that's one of the reasons why we moved the show from its original scheduled run into a fall set of dates so that we can not only kick off the season with it, but hopefully kick off the new school year after vaccine rollout has reached most adults at least, and to sort of reach the point where that show is functioning as a major celebration for our community as we are hopefully coming out of the final stages of the pandemic. But it's a piece that follows the children of some of the traditional Disney heroes like Beauty and the Beast and that kind of thing, and the children of some of the traditional Disney villains like Maleficent. And those kids live in different areas. And so the whole story revolves around how one of the children of one of those, quote unquote, good Disney characters wants to open up a portal that will invite some of the kids of the Disney, quote unquote, evil characters to join them at their school. And so chaos ensues, and Maleficent has a big plan to take over the kingdom of the good. And so it's really, really a fun show based on a Disney Channel series of movies. And so it's got some of the great songs from those, and all of the major plot points are drawn from that first movie that they made of Descendants.
Gotcha. Yes, I know everyone is super excited about Descendants. I get to do some of the phone work for the box office, and I can tell you that there are definitely people calling. So if you are excited about Descendants, you should definitely be thinking about membership at the very least, or getting those single tickets because shows are filling up. We've got a lot of aisle seats taken. We've got a lot of people definitely excited about getting in. And this show will be included in membership. You'll be able to get discounted tickets to it, not free tickets. But yeah, we're super excited to kick off the season with this awesome show. But then the first free show of our membership season that you would get 4, 5, or 8 tickets for free with your membership is Corduroy, which is a show we were hoping to do last season. So I'm super excited to see it coming back.
Yeah, and so this is one that is based on the classic children's book by Gerald Friedman, and it follows a little girl who really, really wants to take Corduroy home when she finds him at the department store. And so the show follows Corduroy trying to find his missing button, and it adds the complication of a night watchman who is trying to figure out where all these weird noises are coming from, and who's making all these messes in the department store. So what's really cool about this piece is that we're going to be using a fairly large puppet version of Corduroy that Stephanie Jacobson, a really brilliant director and educator on our team, has made. So it'll be a show where Corduroy is going to come to life looking like a stuffed animal, which I think should be really, really fun for little kids. And it's a fun show where there's a lot of pratfalls and sort of clownish kind of stuff happens because Corduroy essentially goes through the department store as he's trying to find his button, making a series of very, very big messes, which is always a super fun thing to have on stage and gives everybody the giggles, kids and adults.
Yes, that's awesome. That sounds like a ton of fun, and I always love it when we do shows with puppets. It's such an interesting artistry to watch. So that'll be super great, and that's going to happen kind of mid fall, and then we roll right into kind of our holiday time, and we'll be doing "It's a Wonderful Life" again, kind of breathing some new life into that show.
Yeah, so this was a show that we created during the pandemic and felt like it was really, really lovely. And audiences responded super strongly to it. It's a piece that has kind of a smaller cast. So characters will play multiple roles. And there's a storytelling reason for that, which is that the actors come out to the audience and they speak directly to the audience about why we tell certain stories over and over and over again. And It's a Wonderful Life, for anybody who's familiar with the film, we know some of the things that it makes us feel, some of the things that it makes us reflect on. But this production takes the added step of making the piece more kid-friendly because it's a lot shorter than the movie, number one. People forget that the movie's actually kind of long. Sometimes when they're sharing it with a younger kid, they're like, oh yeah, this is a lot longer than I thought it was. So the stage show is definitely a lot shorter, the way that we've adapted it. But it doesn't lose any of the key moments that people will remember. But maybe most importantly, we try to think about our work at the Rose as being about helping kids see themselves in the stories that we're telling. And so this particular interpretation of It's a Wonderful Life has Clarence and Joseph played by young artists, youth artists. So that means that they're watching all these things that happen to George Bailey and in George Bailey's life through the eyes of a child. And they're asking the questions that kids ask when they watch the film or when they encounter this story for the first time. It also means that we found that kids in the audience root for Clarence in a way that maybe the adults are identifying with George and Mary Bailey or other characters that maybe are coming at challenges from an adult perspective. Kids are actually rooting for Clarence to figure this out and help George. So it's a really, really fun and uniquely Rose take on a classic story. And it actually is the show that opened up the building when the Omaha Theater Company, the Emmy Gifford Children's Theater, moved to the downtown space at 20th and Farnham. So that's kind of a cool bit of history too with that show.
Yes, definitely. I did know that 1995 was the very first show, It's a Wonderful Life. So very cool that we get to bring that back and also have it be something that's so new and something beautiful that came out of a difficult time. So that sounds like a super great kind of winter theme, holiday time show. And then we'll be moving into kind of our spring section of this season. And the next, oh, and just so everyone knows, if you're going to be a member, you would get It's a Wonderful Life for free. That's a member show. So you would get that included with your membership, which is super awesome. And then you would also get the next show, Carmela Full of Wishes. That's also part of the membership. And this is the show that I'm the most excited for in this new season. So I'm super excited to kind of hear a little more about what that show is all about.
Yeah, so Carmela Full of Wishes is this beautiful story about a little girl who is celebrating her birthday. And on the occasion of her birthday, she gets to go with her older brother to run some errands. They live in a migrant worker community. And so the brother is going to the lavanderia, he's going to the bodega, he's taking care of a couple of things for the family. And she gets to go with. And while she's going with, she finds this dandelion. And so we all know that means that, you get to blow on it and make wishes. And so the story revolves around which wish Carmela is going to choose as she is navigating this relationship with her older brother, who is, sometimes kind of distancing himself from Carmela, maybe isn't so excited about her tagging along as he's got some stuff that he's got to do. But I think one of the things that makes that story so beautiful is that Carmela is examining what's the most meaningful wish that she can make. Is it something that she wants to wish for her mother or her brother or for herself? And so she's kind of moving through each of the scenarios, and we get to see those scenarios acted out on stage quite fantastically in front of our eyes. And so that's fun too, because there's like moments where she wants like an unlimited amount of stuff to come out of a vending machine and that kind of thing. So we get some silly kind of wishes that she's considering, but then we also get some more serious and heartfelt ones as well. And you're right that when we read this script as a staff, this is a world premiere, so it's one we've been developing with the writer and with a theater in Chicago called the Chicago Children's Theater. And so when we read the script out loud, a lot of people were just really, really moved, including myself, by the way that the piece ends and how this relationship between this little sister and this older brother evolves by the time we get to the end of the story. It's a really beautiful piece. It's based on a book by Matt de la Peña, who has won a Newbery Award and is famous for having written The Last Stop on Market Street, but has a lot of books that also center stories from populations that have historically been underrepresented on stages, including the Roses. And so we're really excited about all the things that happen artistically with that piece, but also about the sort of genesis of it as something that's meant to celebrate community in a really beautiful way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yes, if you haven't read the book, Carmela Full of Wishes, definitely check it out. I have the book. It's a great book. And I read the script and it's just beautiful. I'm super excited to see this show come to life. And that show you would get as a member. So that would be a show you could bring your family to with your membership. So we're really excited about that show. And then we actually have one more show that is a member show, and that's Giraffes Can't Dance. And I am super excited about Giraffes Can't Dance. This is a book that I read when I was little. So I'm really excited to see this show kind of come to life as well.
Yeah, so this one follows the story of a giraffe that on the occasion of the big dance in the giraffes community is realizing that the other members of the community don't really think that the giraffe can dance very well. And so they're trying to figure out how they can participate in this big community gathering moment. And it rather beautifully sort of moves into a place where the giraffe discovers that they need to dance to the music in their heart. And so it's this cool metaphor for how do we embrace the differences that we all bring to the table? How do we embrace the way that we each contribute to our community, to our classroom, to our family, despite and because of those differences? And so that's a really cool story to bring to the stage, I think. And we're doing this with an incredible team of writers. This is another world premiere that the Roses developed, this piece. And so the music is actually kind of inspired by some Afropop genres. It's written by Elton Bradman, who's a wonderful Bay Area based composer. And then the script is being written by Gloria Bond Clooney, who is a really legendary playwright and is based in Chicago. And Gloria was really interested in making sure that the story was honoring a bit of geographic specificity because it takes place in the picture book in Africa. And so she wanted to get really, really granular and make sure that we were being very accurate about our depiction of cultures that are not Omaha based. And so that's something that we're really excited about with this project. We also have a fabulously talented local director, community leader, and Rose Theater board member. Denise Chapman is going to be directing that piece. Denise is the director of theater at the Union for Contemporary Art and is directed all over town, and is just a wonderful leader of a rehearsal room and brings immense creativity to the design aspects of the piece. Her work was last seen at the Rose in the immensely popular, the tacos piece. Help me, Melissa. Yeah, exactly. So I forgot the name of it for a second there, but it was such a wonderful comedy that Denise made. It was one of our most popular pieces. And so we're really excited to have her back with us to direct Giraffes Can't Dance.
Yes, that spring slot seems to be a nice spot for Denise because that's where Dragons Love Tacos landed too. And she is so exuberant. I love Denise. She's such a fun person. But yes, I'm super excited about Giraffes Can't Dance. I think it'll be a super great ending to our membership season. So if you were counting along, that means that you would get for free Corduroy, It's a Wonderful Life, Carmela Full of Wishes, and Giraffes Can't Dance. Those are your 4 shows that you get for free. And then, like we said, you would be getting discounts to Descendants, but then you would also be getting discounts to our June musical, which is going to be Sound of Music.
Yes, the delayed production of Sound of Music is going to be something that we're gonna actually produce that next summer, and we're very excited about this piece because of not only the classic and very beautiful music that we all are familiar with some of those songs at least, but I think that it's got a really important message about the power of family and how we show up for one another, particularly in difficult times. Sometimes it's easy to forget that when we meet the Von Trapp children and Captain Von Trapp, they're still suffering from the loss of their mother. And so this is a piece that I think is, while it's celebratory and wonderful, it takes place obviously also at the beginning of World War II. So there's some things about it that I think are really deeply rooted in pain and how we navigate that with authenticity and with courage, that we're really excited about presenting that show at this moment in time as our community again is coming out of this pandemic that has upended all of our lives. And where the statistic that I have seen is that 1 in 5 people in America have lost somebody to COVID. And so I think that a big musical like this that is also very clear-eyed about the fact that the world isn't perfect, but that we each can bring our own moments of perfection and generosity and love to the improvement of that world is something that I think is a really important message, and will be an important message still when we produce the show almost a year from now.
Gotcha. Yes. Oh my gosh. Such a beautiful story and so familiar too for in a lot of ways, but also something that I think there'll be a lot of new generations that get to see it for the first time, perhaps at the Rose, which would be amazing and wonderful. So that's kind of your main stage season. That's the whole picture from Descendants all the way around to our June musical Sound of Music. And that kind of wraps up everything that's going on in this 2021 season. I think we are just super excited to be having people back. We're super grateful that you guys have been listening to our podcast and watching our digital shows and hanging out with us through this really weird year. And we're super excited to start having a little bit more of a normal year with you guys again. And Matt, is there anything you want to say about like the season as a whole or anything as we kind of wrap this up today?
Well, I think it's a really cool mix of things that we had to delay because of COVID. So projects that we've been thinking about for a number of years now, and then brand new plays. It maintains our commitment to creating things specifically for our audience. Giraffes Can't Dance and Carmela Full of Wishes are 2 examples of that. And so I think that it's this awesome, it tells an awesome story about how our community has supported the Rose through COVID, where, yeah, we had to delay some shows, but it didn't mean that we stopped doing our work in classrooms across the metro area, but also on our stages. We did continue to work towards making new plays and musicals, which we're able to share next year.
Yes, that's awesome. And once again, per usual, as always, membership is the best way to come and see all that the Rose has to offer. In addition to being able to get tickets to those member shows, discounts to Descendants and Sound of Music, there's also usually a few other goodies wrapped up in membership. Check it out online, or you can call the box office at 402-345-4849. I'm sure, as you've heard today, this is not a season you're going to want to miss. And if you're coming to at least 2 shows, it's more affordable to be a member than to buy those single tickets. So check it all out online today. And we hope to see you for our 21-22 season at the Rose. Thank you guys all for listening today. If you are not convinced just by hearing about what cool shows we have next season, you can listen to our next podcast with Mandy, where she really gets nitty gritty with the math of membership. And you can look at it from every angle and realize that membership is the best way to get everything from the Rose. If you don't believe me, I'm sure you'll believe Mandy. She's got the hard facts. She's got the hard numbers. She's going to get you where you need to be. But for now, have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you again soon.